Okay, welcome everyone to another episode of our One World Zohar study. This week's portion is Vaera, and it's the second portion of the second book of Shemot. We're in volume 8 and paragraph 89 of Vaera. Let's invite in the lineage of Rav and Karen, Michal, Rabbi Shlag, Rabbi Brainline, the Ria Kodesh, Ramchal, Rabbi Tarfon, Rabbi Mazulai, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Teps, Rabbi Kolon Mishapir Pia Satsna, the Baal Shem Tov, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, and all the students, Rabbi Mordechai of Chernobyl, one soul with Joseph the righteous, and Shchaim. When we invite in the lineage, this is us asking for assistance from the lineage of Kabbalists who can assist us in the study, because this was also their path. As we connect to these verses, we want to have a consciousness of unity, one world, and connecting to the upper realm, the realm of fulfillment. And specifically, we want to have in mind everyone we know who needs healing. Any kind of fulfillment we can think of, but specifically people we know who need healing, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual healing. We want to connect to the energy of Avat Chinam, unconditional love for everyone in the world, for ending the chaos and pain and suffering in the world, for protection from negativity, neutralizing conflict, and of course, treating everyone with human decency. So, verse 89, I just want to point out that this week's portion, it's Vaera. So as the portion begins, it begins with the Creator talking to Moses and then saying to him. So he talks to him, and then it's what he says to him. And what does he say? He says, Vaera, I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So, you could look at it like, anytime you meet someone for the first time, you want to try and find some connections. Like, hey, I'm the guy who was connected to your forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Is that what it's about? Just like introductions, trying to establish some kind of connection, similar experiences. Like, think about any time we meet someone and we're trying to connect in a positive way, the things that we have in common with them are sometimes the way we connect. We're both fans of a particular team, type of music, type of art, type of food. This is how we connect. Is that what the Creator's doing? And the interesting paradox is that he says, I appeared to them, but he's talking to Moses. Why did he just say, I talked to them? Like I'm talking to you. First of all, Moses was on a much higher level. They did converse. This is the unique thing about Moses. Zohar tells us and other sources that he was half man, half angel. So he was at a level of connection with Moses, with the Creator, which was above and beyond any prophet that ever walked the earth. So it was an unusual connection, a very elevated connection. That's at one level. Another level, that this whole term Vaera appeared, this is us also, whether it's talking, speaking, or appearing, this is us also developing a higher consciousness about what is appearing for us, what's showing up for us, what are we perceiving? So the week is really an opportunity to elevate our perceptual abilities. And I don't mean that we improve our hearing. We could do that. I mean, we realize our senses are just filters, and we try and go deeper with our ability to perceive. Maybe it's our third eye, maybe it's our sixth sense, whatever, however you want to describe it, it's perceiving reality in a deeper way. That's a huge opportunity we have this week, and also a huge opportunity we have as we connect to the Zohar. So let's dive in. Verse 89. Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Abba Havo Shchiche Lelia Chad Beve Osh Pizaihu Belud Kamal Ish Tadlab Oraita Petach Rabbi Elazar Be'amar Biadata Hayom Vaishavota Elavavecha Ki Hashem Hu Elokim Haikra Haki Miba Ele Biadata Hayom Ki Hashem Hu Elokim Vaishavota Elavavecha Tuva shivota el libecha miba ele. Any volunteers to read English today? Thank you, Andrea. Okay, verse 89.
One night, Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Abba were in their lodgings in Lod.
Okay, so it's story time. Once upon a time, two rabbis were at their hotel in the northern Israeli town of Lod. I mean, that's what's going on. And of course, it's not really, it is what's going on. I mean, to a certain degree, it's like all of a sudden we're tuning into this like Netflix show that's being streamed to us. Only it's not Netflix, it's the Zohar. And the streaming's of a much greater significance because it's not just streaming some entertainment. We might find this entertaining. I typically find this entertaining. It's not just the entertainment value. It's about consciousness. Your consciousness is a stream. Frankly, everything we encounter is a stream of energy. At every moment, there's a stream of energy going on. So this gives us the ability to strengthen the stream that represents, that manifests as our consciousness. So to a certain degree, we're in, like when you watch a show, you're kind of in the story with them. We're in the story. We're here. And I just want to say that we want to be in the story of every encounter we have. We want to be present. If for some reason we're not present to what's going on, we need to stop and gather ourselves because we're missing our show. This is each one of us have our own shows going on. Now, to a certain degree, right now, we've crossed paths for the next some odd minutes, but it's like there's nothing that's going on in your life that's not significant to your life. Maybe some things are more significant than others, but okay, keep going.
They awoke to study Torah.
Now, as we've discussed, probably it doesn't say what time it is. We can't see the clock, but rest assured it's past midnight because that's what Kabbalists did. They got up after midnight. That was the most opportune time to connect spiritually, and the Zohar was the tool of choice, just like it is for us. So we share that with them. We're sharing it. We share it together as a group when we get together on these calls. But that's what they were doing. Go ahead.
Rabbi Elazar opened the discussion saying, "Know therefore this day and consider it in your heart, levavecha, that Hashem, He is Elohim."
Okay, so this is not a verse from this week's portion. So this is a verse from Devarim, which is the 5th book. And what's the verse say? And so they're having a discussion. They're getting together and they're going to have a spiritual conversation. And they use this verse from the 5th book, the book of Devarim. And what's the verse say? Know therefore this day and consider it in your heart that Hashem is Elohim. Interesting. Know and consider. What's the difference between knowing something and considering it? It's like when you know something, you have a level of certainty. When you consider it, you don't have so much certainty, so you're just thinking about it. The know, therefore, this day, and consider your heart. And then we have these ideas of day and heart. And so this is like, to a certain degree, this is us knowing that every day is an opportunity for us to grow spiritually. And the whole heart thing is about feeling it. So we have these opportunities to conceptualize things, and we have the ability to feel what's going on. And they're both important, and they're not the same. And so that's a distinction between knowing something and considering it, feeling it in your heart. It's like when something resonates, it's not a head thing, it's a heart thing. It's something you feel the resonance. Okay, so, and what's the message that we need to really know and consider? Hashem he is Elohim. I don't get that. Like, they're telling us that the name is the same. What is that? It's like Andrew's name is really Sarah. What is the Zohar trying to tell us? Keep going.
He asks, this passage should have said, know therefore this day that Hashem, he is Elohim. And at the end, and consider it in your heart.
Okay, so
because
yeah, we're rewriting the verse here because it doesn't seem right. Go ahead.
Because the knowledge that Hashem is Elohim prepares one to consider it in the heart. So, and if he has already considered it in his heart, one most certainly has the knowledge.
Okay, so you have to. So Rabbi Shlag, because this is his commentary, is saying, look, there's an order here of things. When you know something, then you can consider in your heart. I'm not sure you can consider in your heart before you know it. So it's like, know all this, and then, then consider it in your heart. Keep going.
Also, it should have said, libecha, heart with one bet, not lavevecha, with two bets.
So, okay, so the language itself is indicating that there's some hidden messages here. And again, that's what the Zohar does, because if you're going to stick with the literal story in the Bible, you're just going to have one reading of this. It's pretty simple, and you kind of go through it, and you don't have any reference points. But the Zohar is cluing us into there are things that are out of the ordinary based on the language, and that's because there's a deeper understanding here. So now now that the door's been open, we're gonna take it. We're gonna go next level. Everybody ready?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
I have a quick question. So in the language part, libecha is one bet. It's the first bet, right? And then levavecha is the vet, the aleph bet vet, the second. I'm just starting to learn Hebrew. So there's bet and then there's vet.
Well,
Does that
not yet. Let's not distinguish right now the difference between bet and bet. They're just different pronunciations of the same letter. I mean, there's reasons for that, but the key thing is that libecha is your heart. That's one bet. Levavecha has two bets. What does even that mean? In other words, it should have used just libecha, consider in your heart. Why is it levavecha? Why is it a different word? Why is there an extra bet there? There's an extra letter, and we know that in the Torah, in the Bible, in the 5 books of Moses, there's never an extra letter. If there's an extra letter, there's a reason. If there's an oversized letter, there's a reason. If there's an undersized letter, remember, there's only one font size, except there are exceptions. There are oversized fonts and undersized fonts. And then there are dots that appear out of nowhere. And then there are spaces that vary. Like, none of that is random. None of that is random. So that's what the Zohar does. It's assisting us in decoding these seemingly random designs, if you will, in the actual Torah scroll, which, again, that's what we want. We're trying to decode life. The Bible, the Torah, is there to assist us in decoding our lives. So much like things look random in our life, they're not. Things look random here, they're most certainly not. Does that make sense? Okay, let's keep going. Verse 90. Ela Amar Moshe, Iat bai lemekam alda Ulaminda ki Hashem hu Elokim. V'shavota el levavecha l'chutein tinda le. Levavecha yetzer tova yetzer ra. Did kalil da b'da v'yu chad. Kedain tishkach ki Hashem hu Elokim. Daha it kalil da b'da v'yu chad ve'al da v'shavota el levavecha leminda milah. I just want to say that we've discussed, but maybe it's been a while, this idea of being an observer of self. And this was pointed out to me by Meir Yeshurun when he was my teacher a decade and a half ago. When he talked about this idea about being the observer of self. And other people do talk about this. It's not so unique. The ability to take a step back and observe thought. Why am I thinking that? By the way, this showed up for me in a real way recently. I may have talked about this already. I don't know, but when we're recording these sessions, we have a YouTube channel. Thanks to Ron, it's all working just awesomely. And I watch them because I'm kind of taking notes about like what I'm doing, so that I can, hopefully, if I'm, doing something that I don't want to do, that I can kind of improve upon it. One way of improving upon things is kind of recording yourself. That's happening. So I've looked at them, and the one thing that I noticed, well, there's several things. But one thing that I noticed is that when I read the Aramaic, I'm reading it with a North American accent. Well, of course, I'm going to read it with a North American accent. I live in North America. Of course, I'm going to. I actually read it with a Northeastern accent as opposed to a Midwestern accent. But I don't hear my accent. But I have one. And I notice it because I hear our teachers, many of whom are Israeli, read it, and they read the Aramaic with a different accent. I mean, think about when we hear our teachers read English. They're reading that with, in many cases, an Israeli accent. And it's not that big of a deal, unless the accent's annoying, then it is a big deal. But like, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, everyone's got an accent, right? But the point is that if I don't have a consciousness about the way I'm sounding to other people, and I don't typically because I think I don't have an accent, but I do. It's as simple as as what is an accent? I speak with an accent. I don't perceive that. What else is hidden in my blind spot? That's nothing. That's nothing. In what other ways am I showing up blind for what I'm doing and judging others for what they're doing? Okay, let's go with English on verse 90.
He answers, but Moses said, if you really want to understand this and know that Hashem is Elohim, then consider it in your heart, levavecha, and thus know it. For levavecha means,
yes, go ahead.
For levavecha means the good inclination and the evil inclination that dwells in the heart are included within one another and are one.
Okay, so
And
so now we're in volume 8, verse 90 of Vaera. So it's the second portion within volume 8. So we're getting now into why the extra bet. Go ahead.
And you shall love Hashem, your Elohim, with all your heart, levavecha, meaning with both your inclinations, the good inclination and the evil inclination.
Okay,
Thus
so let's understand, what does it mean? Because let's understand what we mean by good inclination and evil inclination. It sounds like good and bad. It's not. It's not. It kind of is, but it's not. I mean, that's the way, those are the terms, Yetzer Hara and Yetzer Tov. Evil inclination is Yetzer Hara, and good inclination is Yetzer Tov. These are inclinations. These are what we're inclined to do. This is our desire. It's either our desire to receive for the self, evil inclination, or a desire to receive for the sake of sharing, good inclination. So this is the ways in which we show up as sharing or not. That's what it is. It's not good, it's not bad. It's just, it is what it is. Just like my accent, it is what it is. I'm going to judge that. I'm going to judge someone for their accent. I mean, we may do that, but we don't want to be doing that because we don't want to be judged for our accents. Oh, I don't have one. No, we all have them. It's so simple. And our desire is also so simple. You have desire. I'm above that. No, you're not above that. You have desire. If you don't see those desires, they're in your blind spot. And this is not to make a value judgment about desire. It's just to make have an awareness that they're there. Now, once you're aware of your desire, now we can talk about what kind of a desire is it? Is it personal agenda? Like, where is my agenda? The agenda is always there. Sometimes more obvious than others. But there's always agenda. And when I'm wrapped up in my personal agenda to the exclusion of the benefit of those around me, desire to receive for the self. The more aware we are of our agenda, the more objective we can go and the more sharing we can show up in every situation. And the more aware we are of our own agenda, the more we'll see the agenda in the people around us. And it's not the judge just to understand what is the agenda there. Why are they selling me the anti-rust package for the car? The underside coating. I mean, I don't know. There's agenda. It's not to make a value judgment about it. There's just agenda there. Then we have to decide, well, is that something I want or I need? Or is that a way I'm no longer prepared to show up in life? Is there a boundary I need to create there? Keep going.
Thus, he should convert the evil attributes of the evil inclination to be good, namely to serve Hashem with them and not sin through them.
Okay, so the goal here is to take the desire to receive the self and take that desire and turn it into a desire to receive for the sake of sharing. That's our understanding of Yetzer Hara, Yetzer Tov, good inclination, evil inclination. We have the inclination. We have the desire. It's what are we doing about? What are we doing with that? Are we going to use our God-given talents for the good of mankind? And as we've discussed, the more I share, the more I can receive. I'm not blocked up. If I'm just thinking of myself, I get blocked. I'm no longer a channel. Okay. Yes, Ron.
I have a question. So speaking of being a channel, so when and our teachers have said this before, where specifically, say you're angry, right? And then I've heard them say, well, if you're angry and you have this anger, use your anger to use your anger to create something good or productive instead of just unleashing it on somebody, right? So I guess I'm just kind of an inquiry about that, right?
Yeah, well, what would be a good use of your anger?
Well, okay, so what comes to mind for me is sometimes when I catch myself really angry about something, I don't know, I'll clean the house, or I'll do
right.
something.
You find some way to channel that energy.
Yeah, channel that energy somewhere else, somewhere productive versus destroying something.
Does that work?
Yeah. Works for me.
That's good. No, that's all that matters. That's good. I think, yes, Maria.
I'll share differently. When I and I'm just doing it with work related, because things are not perfect. And it's a perfect example where the, negativity comes and just things at the last minute and you just react because you want something done. I have come across kind of harsh on certain things because I worked so hard to try to accomplish something. I'm financing things and take care of my customer. And when somebody else dropped the ball and I come kind of very cold and a little bit upset, the good thing of it is like they see my passion on my work and they see my dedication, and they kind of take that to like, I have to make sure that I do well. So I deliver well and she delivers well. So then they learn from that. So that's what I'm seeing from that negativity.
Interesting. Right. I think like, I think that's a great example. And it's one that I can relate to, Maria. It's like, I don't want to take it personally. People will fall short of the mark. And we don't want to have an attitude, well, that's okay, because it's really not okay. There's people that are relying on us, especially in the business context, but in the personal context too. There's people relying on us. So I can't say it's okay. So I think it's, you could say it's anger, but it's also just a level of intensity. Like, I need you to know this is not okay. I'm okay and you're okay, but this situation is not okay. Like I had to call AT&T today. I was getting a little frustrated because none of my logins were working, and it's complicated. It shouldn't be that complicated, but it was complicated until I figured out what was going on. But I just wanted the customer service rep I was on the phone with knowing that this is not okay. But I didn't want to get angry, and I was elevated. So I think it's like, part of what happens is we do start losing it. And when we lose it, we really want to catch ourselves, because when we lose it, we're now giving over decision-making to the other side. It's like we literally lose it. What do we lose? Is that just an expression? No. We lose control. We're letting the other side take over. So this isn't the small conversation, it's big conversation, because we all get bent out of shape at times. It's going to happen. It's just like, what do we do about it? And I think the goal, as with all things, is like, I don't want to do it again. So how do I show up differently? I think one of the things I've heard on the topic, just about getting angry, one of the things that I've heard our teachers say, it's okay to be jealous. It's okay to be angry about where I am spiritually and where I want to go. So one way of channeling that anger is to be like, I'm now kind of angry with where I'm at. How do I need to get to the next level? And the goal is to not let go. The goal is to not ignore the feelings or marginalize the feelings or bury the feelings. The goal is to be with the feelings, because that's showing up for a reason. If I bury them, they're not going away. It's not being processed. I need to process my feelings. I need to work through them. The universe triggered me to give them the opportunity to work through those feelings. The universe is triggering me to give me a greater capacity to handle when people drop the ball at work. So I'm still showing up. I'm feeling it. But now they are too. They're feeling the level of intensity and the importance of what they're doing. But with compassion. I know this is rough that you dropped the ball, and I'm not leaving you alone on it. I know that I'm bringing a level of certainty to this transaction. I know I'm bringing a level of intensity to this transaction. But this is deserving of my attention, and yours too. It's a little bit different. And I'm not saying I'm not elevated every time this happens. Yes, Suzanne, I see your hand.
Yeah. So I know that we talked about this for me as a gift and as part of my correction. And I think I got a third dimension here to offer. I think some of the anger I was experiencing, where you told me to pause, right? And just love it and embrace it.
What a pleasure. Pause, what a pleasure.
Right. It was like, okay, good. You're coming up and I'm going to embrace you like you're a child, right? And this part of me, and it's something I have to work on. But what I noticed, the difference between the conversations everyone else is having and what I noticed is I think I was needing to step into self-confidence. Okay. So I was really frustrated at some repetition that was occurring in my life but I needed to have more self-esteem, more confidence. And when I would have these volcanic explosions, because I'm a Cancerian, and that's how the emotions come up, because they're right, like full living epic color. Okay. Like, right. And then some, which it overwhelms me even. But you have to have the experience. And then once that experience was over with, I was like, wow, I have more confidence. So it was almost like the cap blew off, something came up. But here's what I'm learning now based on so that's one aspect of this conversation, but there's a different learning that's happening now when you said apply the proactive formula, which is just pause. Well, what's happening now, David, this is so freaking cool, is I'm breathing into it. And instead of projecting the energy outward, I have this insane ability to look inside and then just breathe into it and then let it dissolve. That's the gift.
Yeah, that's
So,
awesome.
if that could help anybody.
No, I think it's very helpful. I mean, and again, this goes to, thank you for sharing that. This goes to like, where is our consciousness here? What are we doing in the moment? What are we thinking? How are we perceiving what's going on? And what's my next step? And that's the power of pause. What a pleasure is, I'm reframing this as an opportunity for growth. And the minute you do that, it kind of takes the edge off. There's still a level of intensity because you are confronted with something, but the edge is off because there's an opportunity for growth. Okay, let's continue. Andrea, you know where you were?
Yes. Thus he should convert the evil attributes of the evil inclination to be good, namely to serve Hashem with them and not sin through them. Then certainly there is no more difference between the good inclination and the evil inclination, and they are one. Then you will find that Hashem is Elohim. The attribute of judgment, which is called Elohim, is included in Yud Ke Vav Ke, which is the attribute of mercy, because they are included the one within the other. As the evil inclination and the good inclination are combined in the heart, and they are one.
Okay, so the verse says Hashem is Elohim. This isn't like, we're just, the guy has a nickname. No. Elohim is a name of the creator that is referred to is judgment. And so what we're doing, we have to understand that aspect of judgment is part of the Yud Ke Vav Ke, which is an aspect of mercy. So when we can transform that judgment into mercy, we're creating unity. We're unifying the world. It's just another way that we unify the world. These things are the same. They look different because we live in a fragmented world. It's like we live in a world where everything is deconstructed to the point of absurdity, that we don't even see how everything is constructed. We don't see the unity of all things. Things have been slowed down so much at a certain level. Things are so fragmented, we don't see that they're all part of one. And so part of what we're always trying to do is create unity. Between what? Between the fulfillment and the lack. Because if I create unity between fulfillment and lack, there's complete fulfillment. It's the fragmentation that exists in the realm that we perceive with our five senses, which is a chaotic world. It only looks chaotic because we're not perceiving the other 99%, which is the realm of fulfillment. And how do we manifest that fulfillment? By creating unity. And how do we create unity? By working on those reactive natures that are reacting to part of the story, are reacting to judging the book by its cover, our reaction to taking something out of context. And that's the power of the pause and embracing the situation and knowing the light is in there so that we can connect the cause and effect and create the unity which is necessary to manifest those blessings. Otherwise, we're just pushing the blessings away through our negativity, through our desire to receive for the self, through our evil inclination, through our blockages. Just we're pushing the light away. Okay, keep going.
So it can not be known that Hashem is Elohim except through considering it in the heart. Therefore, the passage mentioned first, and consider it in your heart to know through it that Hashem, He is Elohim.
Okay, so, the expression that person has a lot of heart generally is a reflection of their level of desire. I mean, I see this coming up in sports all the time. Well, he doesn't have the talents, but he's got a lot of heart. He's got a lot of desire. That's what it is. It's desire. Just that what are we using the desire for? The greater your desire, the larger your vessel is. Turns out, our teachers tell us. We've said this before, I don't want to be without desire. Low desire, low desire is a small vessel. Large desire is a large vessel. The larger the vessel, the more blessings we can channel. If we find ourselves in an area of low desire, we need to work on that. Ask the Creator for help. And we've all experienced being in situations where we didn't have desire. We're probably in the wrong place. Definitely in the wrong place. If we're in a situation where our desire lacks, something is out of sync. Because we're designed to be maximizing that desire at all times. And using that desire to channel blessings, using a desire to receive for the sake of sharing. Let's take one more. I'm not sure how much we'll get at this, but any questions? Okay. Tuama Rabbi Elazar chayavin avdin b'gimuta le'ela. My pigimuta dismala la itkalil b'mina. The yetzer ra la itkalil b'yetzer tov. Begin chovayu dibnei nasha. Uvegimu la avde elolon mamash. Harahu dichtiv shichet lo banav muma. Kivyachol abde la abde. Abde delayit mashech alayhu birkan dilela. Kamada atamar ve'atzar et hashamayim v'lo yeh matar. Lo abde daha shmayan atlei lon lagar mayhu birkan may di'itzterich. V'la natlei la'amshecha l'tetabadai. Muma di'inun chayavin ihu.
Rabbi Elazar also said, the wicked cause a blemish above with their evil inclinations. What is the blemish? It is that the left is not included within the right above. It rather dominates by means of judgment by itself. This is because
the world can't survive with judgment. We need to have mercy. This is why it's always for us, right column mercy over left column judgment. Go ahead.
This is because the evil inclination below is not included in the good inclination. To work with it, to draw good, as mentioned, because of the sins of people who sin through the evil inclination and attracted by the domination of judgment. And they do not cause a blemish above, but actually to themselves. This is the meaning of not his the corruption, but the blemish of his sons. The corruption, not the blemish. First it is said, his the correction, seemingly indicating that they blemish above, and then not the blemish of his sons. Seemingly, they do not cause blemish above. It is as if they cause blemish, yet do not cause a blemish. They cause that is
paradox. Is it or isn't it? Go ahead.
They cause, that is, they bring about that blessings from above do not flow to them as is written, and shut up the heavens that there will be no rain. They damage the channels of the substance above, yet they do not cause, because the heavens, namely the channels of above, receive for themselves as much blessings and sustenance as they need, but they do not receive substance to pour downward. Certainly this is not a blemish in the flaw of the above, but rather it is the blemish of the wicked, and it is upon them that this flaw rests and not above.
So our inability to address our desire, our selfishness, our desire to receive the self, is our blockage. It's not your soul's blockage. Your soul's always fine. Your soul's always perfect by definition. And it's not that we're bad. It's not that we're good. It's not that we're bad. It's we're blocked. That's what a blemish is. It's a blockage. It's a blockage on the flow of energy. It's a blockage on our ability to connect to our soul. It's a blockage that stands in the way of our seeing what it is we need to work on. I see it's not, I see the result down here, but I don't know where's the blockage. That's where I need to do more self-examination, some self-reflection. Because when I'm not able to manifest, when I'm not able to, when we are experiencing lack, there is a blockage. The light is there, and it's there to manifest blessings. So the bottom line, all this, what is it, Vaera? What is it that we're seeing? What is that Abraham and Isaac and Jacob saw? They saw this whole system of blessings that manifests in the world. And what is counterintuitive, so to speak, what our challenge is our blockages, is our inability to see that deeper reality, is our inability to see what we need to work on so that we can become better channels. But there are plenty of telltale signs. It's the areas in our life where we have lack. It's the areas in life where we have our triggers and we get angry. It's the areas in our life where we have emotions that are unsettling. The goal is for us to be okay with what is. But to do that, we need to be vigilant and aware of what's showing up for us and what we're feeling and what we're experiencing. And that's the benefit of taking it to heart. Okay, everybody. We're out of time. Have a great Shabbat, a great weekend. Love you all, and see you on Monday.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you. Shabbat shalom.
Appreciate it, David.
Bye. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.